Welcome to LiCAS.News. I'm Shirley Benedictos, and these are our headlines this week. Pope orders salary cuts for cardinals, priests to save jobs of employees. Pope Francis hits mafia for exploiting COVID-19 pandemic. COVID-19 aggravates global decline in freedom, report says. Asian cardinals issue appeal for peace, reconciliation in Myanmar. Fate of 81 Rohingya adrift at sea for weeks, still unresolved, rights group says. Indian court refuses bail for detained 83-year-old Jesuit priest. Pope Francis names new archbishop in Manila. And now to our stories. Pope Francis has ordered cardinals to take a 10% pay cut and reduced the salaries of most other clerics working in the Vatican in order to save jobs of employees as the coronavirus pandemic has hit the Holy See's income. The Vatican says Pope Francis issued a decree introducing proportional cuts starting on April 1. A spokesman said most lay employees would not be affected by the cuts. A senior Vatican prelate said it was believed to be the first time in living memory that a pope had taken such action. Pope Francis has often insisted he does not want to fire people in difficult economic times, even as the Vatican continues to run up deficits. Pope Francis condemned what he described as the mafia around the world that are exploiting the pandemic and enriching themselves through corruption. The mafia are present in various parts of the world and exploiting the pandemic, they are enriching themselves through corruption, the Pope said. In December, the Paris-based Interpol Police Coordination issued a global alert warning that organized criminal networks were targeting COVID-19 vaccines. These structures of sin, mafia structures, contrary to Christ's gospel, exchange faith with idolatry, said the Pope. In Italy, many members of organized crime see themselves as part of a religious cult-like group, invoking the help of saints and using religious figurines or statues in initiation rites. Since its spread around the world, COVID-19 has aggravated the global decline in freedom, said a report by an independent watchdog based in the U.S. Released last week, the report by Freedom House said the new coronavirus outbreak has exposed weaknesses across all the pillars of democracy. The pillars were elections and the rule of law to egregiously disproportionate restrictions on freedom of assembly and movement, said Freedom in the World 2021 Democracy Under Siege. Nearly 75% of the world's population lived in a country that faced deterioration in freedoms last year, wrote the report's authors. More broadly, the report stated that governments around the world also deployed intrusive surveillance tools that were often of dubious value to public health and featured few safeguards against abuse. Catholic Church leaders from across Asia have appealed for peace and reconciliation in Myanmar as the crackdown against opposition to last month's military coup continued this week. The statement, signed by 12 cardinals from across Asia, was addressed to the country's military, politicians, protesters, and religious leaders. The cardinals said they were adding their voice in making a fervent appeal to all concerned for peace in the country. The church leaders assured Cardinal Charles Mongbo of Yangon, who has been vocal in his calls for an end to the conflict in Myanmar, of solidarity. The cardinals also called on all religious leaders in Myanmar to join us in this prayer for peace, in this appeal for peace, and in making efforts for peace. India, Bangladesh, and Myanmar are failing to provide information about a large group of Rohingya people whose boat has been adrift in the Andaman Sea for weeks, a rights organization said. The Indian Foreign Ministry did not respond to questions on whether the Rohingya will be allowed to enter India, and it also did not provide an update on talks with Bangladesh on the issue. The group of Muslim Rohingya who had left Cox's Bazar, Bangladesh on February 11 in hopes of reaching Malaysia were found by the Indian Coast Guard last month off the Andaman coast. Their crowded fishing boat was drifting after its engine developed technical problems. India has been providing food, medical, and technical aid to them, but it has so far rejected appeals to take the group to India and has instead urged Bangladesh to accept them back. An Indian court has again refused to grant bail to detained Jesuit priest Stanislaus Lorduzwami, saying that the petition presented by the lawyers were inadmissible. The 83-year-old priest, popularly known as Stan Swami, a known tribal rights activist, was arrested by India's National Investigation Agency on October 8, 2020. The priest was accused of terror-related offenses under the Unlawful Activities Prevention Act for allegedly furthering the cause of banned communist groups through his civil rights organizations. He is the oldest person in the country to face terror-related charges, and he has joined 15 others, including human rights activists, journalists, and scholars. Pope Francis appointed Cardinal Jose F. Advincula of the Archdiocese of Capiz in the Central Philippines as the new Archbishop of Manila. The bells of the Manila Cathedral in the old walled city of Intramuros tolled in celebration following the announcement. The Archdiocese of Manila has been left sede vacante after Cardinal Luis Antonio Tagle assumed his post as prefect of the Congregation for the Evangelization of Peoples in Rome in February last year. Born on March 30, 1952, Cardinal Advincula was ordained priest in 1976. He was appointed Bishop of San Carlos in 2001 and Archbishop of Capiz in 2011. In October 2020, Pope Francis named him a cardinal, the 9th in the Philippines. And that's all for this week. I'm Shirley Benedictos for LiCAS News, your independent Catholic news source in Asia. For more stories, visit our website and subscribe to our YouTube channel.